What up, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Discord? We back, man. You know what it is. It's another Docs Radio banger. It's me, realest recruiter in the game, so put some respect on my name. Like it, tweet it, share it with somebody who needs to see it. Salute to all the Anons. Shout out to my DGens. Big up all the chats, all the Telegram channels. Man, I'm pumped today to bring to you a new episode, fresh out of East Denver, back in the studio with the homie, my man, Lyron from Seismic. What up, Lyron?
What up, man? Thanks for having me. I love the order that you put it in. LinkedIn came in first.
Yeah.
You're really going for a high TAM here.
Damn, I might have to switch that up, bro. You're right. I think I've like squeezed LinkedIn dry at this point. But I mean, it's a good place to start. Is like, I mean, your project's been around for how long at this point?
It's been a year, but we just recently started talking about it more.
Yeah.
So things feel a lot more real now. We're going.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I remember we met pretty early when you were coming up out of the Stanford Blockchain Accelerator. But I guess the point where I was getting to is like, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, maybe not, but you will soon enough, is like the talent like market in Web3 of crypto natives has been really stale lately. It's the same people floating around like every couple months. You know, it's becoming really apparent to me that it's time to bring more people over from Web2. So shout out to LinkedIn if you're watching.
LinkedIn.
We got love for you, LinkedIn.
Doing God's work. We're 0 for 30 on interviews right now. We're on 0 for 30 streak. It's horrendous on trying to recruit a staff engineer. And we've been trying really, really hard.
And you need everyone in New York, right?
Yeah, we also do have the
tough, man.
Yeah, because we're going a little bit different. We're going fully in person.
Yeah,
which is it's really tough, especially in crypto.
I respect it. Not everyone can pull it off. Not everyone can be so patient, but there's ways to make it work. But we'll get into all things hiring. But why don't we back it up, man, and start from the lore? Tell me a little bit about your background, man. Who were you before crypto, and how did we get here?
Oh, good question. Background-wise, I grew up in the Philippines, and then I moved to LA for high school. I started coding around early on, around middle school, high school phase. From high school, I went to Stanford. I studied computer science with a good bit of math. And then in that, pretty much all my years in Stanford, I did pretty much just all AI. Like I was a very big AI guy. I loved doing it. This was around pre-GPT-1. So we were still messing around with some pretty primitive stuff relative to what we're seeing now. Then did a bunch of big company stuff, but a lot of small company stuff. I wanted to sample everything. So the small companies, I tried little experiments in groups in Google X, and then bigger companies that like Apple R&D, Facebook AI. And then after
internships, or
some of them were internships, some of them were jobs where I just took quarters off.
Cool.
And then after really sampling all of it, it was pretty clear that the startup scene was the one for me.
Hell yeah.
And then from the startup scene, I had two distinct groups of friends in Stanford, because I went when crypto was really still popping there. Now it's kind of lower down, even though it's still an incredible scene there. But just AI is just so strong at Stanford, so it's like a little bit of that. But I had two groups of friends. There were the crypto people and then AI people. I just thought the crypto people were really fun.
That's literally how like the social circles go at Stanford. Like in in Hofstra, where I went to school, it was like the athletes and the creative people, like a normal high school. At Stanford is like you're either in the AI crowd or the crypto crowd. Is that like how it is? Like that's how it is at the lunch table? Like,
it's probably not a strict delineation usually, but you definitely hang out a lot more within your domain because you do a lot of work in
characteristics, like the differences in the people characteristics between these two groups.
Oh, it's completely different. The crypto people are much weirder in the best way possible. Like they have crazier ideas. They dress in a more in a different way.
Those are my people.
It feels great. And then AI, it feels very industrialized, which is a good and a bad thing. Where the ecosystem, the pipeline there is very well formed into creating really good AI minds. And in crypto, it's a little less well formed, where there are a couple shining star professors like Dan Bonet and then David Say before he left and started Babylon. And then it's a bit more grassroots. Yeah.
A little more color outside the lines.
Yeah. So it felt good. And then so after that.
So what made you choose crypto? Like, so, I mean, to my understanding, Seismic isn't like a crypto AI project. This is a chain, right?
Yeah.
So what made you, I mean, you're gravitating towards AI in college. What made you choose like blockchain?
Ooh, good question. It was a combination of two things. Number one, it was the crypto people were just more fun. Love all my AI buddies, but
Good answer.
like the crypto people were fun. Number two, I liked math a lot while I was in my undergrad and like slightly into my master's, where uh, I indexed a lot of what I wanted to do for the first years out of college based on the type of technical work that I would want to do.
Cool.
And this is natural, just coming out of education.
Nice, yeah.
And then from there, AI is really in optimization, linear algebra, all of this, where crypto is more in modern algebra. And I just like modern better. Like it was just plain and simple. Like I didn't really do much analysis past like it's more fun on the technical
go
front.
harder for something that you enjoy doing. I mean, it don't have to be
like
more
that.
complicated than that. Do it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So where did the actual idea from Seismic come from? Like, what was the problem you identified, and why is this a solution that you came up with?
Okay.
Without going too crazy, I mean.
Yeah, no, I won't go crazy. Let's see. Coming out of college, I needed to start a company to do it successfully. I had to be the best in the world or be able to create the best in the world team at something. And I looked at all the teams that I could lead and I could create. And I concluded that for most domains, we're going to be completely average at. The one thing that we could probably do very well on is cryptography X blockchains, just because of background and how nascent this space was, how early we could get on something new. And then from there, I said, okay, cryptography X blockchains, I'll spend a couple weeks just seeing if there's something there. And then from there, I had talked to all my friends that were already in crypto and building blockchain D apps. And I said, hey, if there are pieces of your roadmap that you haven't done yet, because it's too much technical risk, it's a little out of the way for you, but it's very technically complex. I want to try doing it because I want to figure out what problems people are going to run into over the next few months, over the next few years. Ended up helping them with a lot of problems, implementing a lot of things. And then I realized that there was one subset of problems that I could never get over because I couldn't get access to these properties that I needed around encryption. And then from running into it again and again, and then looking at it from a more first principles, hey, this is probably going to be a big problem perspective, then okay, this is a big problem. I'm probably running into it a little bit before a lot of people. And then I have some expertise in it already, should go all in on it. And then from there on, raised the round, started getting a team together, and then got the company.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So you said like you kept saying we. Do you have a co-founder? Like who were you ideating with in the earliest of days, you know?
I started off without a co-founder. Technically still don't at the moment, although the Seismic team is incredibly strong. I'm sure many people out of there are.
It's a good political. Well done, my brother. Well done. I didn't mean to set you up. I didn't mean.
It's all good. It's all good.
They're
gonna start coming on. Might have more co-founders in the future.
Cool.
But right now, a lot of the early days, the ideation was horrendous because it was just like me, myself, and the Blackboard. And then pretty soon people started joining, and then from there it got a lot easier. Like we have 8 people where it's me, and then I have Matt, head of ops, and then 6 engineers, and all the engineers are pretty much building Seismic, and then I'm like tweeting. So it's a huge
like a good founder should, man. Like all the best founders do. All they do is man.
Yeah. So
that's good.
Yeah, the team is going crazy now.
Does it feel weird to you at all to like, you know, was there a shift that you had to a mindset shift from like, you know, being stuck in the code and being in the technical side of it to just being a like good old yapper like the rest of us? Like, you know, like,
yeah.
How are you thinking about that?
It was, I mean, I knew it had to happen eventually just because this generation of companies, I don't see how a company that isn't founder led for marketing succeeds. Like it's just so much stronger that we've all seen in other data points.
Facts.
I said, okay, it just has to be me. There's no other way around it. It's definitely way worse, at least from what I like doing. Like engineering is definitely something I'd be a lot more comfortable doing. I'd have a lot more fun doing at the end of every day. I'd feel more accomplished. And then now my reward system and skill set is starting to shift a little bit more into I can be a founder-led marketer and do this, but it's nice. And then now I'm trying to really progress in it fairly quickly. So I'm like looking at a lot of analytics, like talking to a lot of people that have done it before me, run a lot of experiments, do it in a pretty scientific way, iterate fast and get good at it. hopefully it works. I don't know. It's early days.
I guess gotta ask, like, what are some of the lessons you're learning about yapping along the way? Like how to yap successfully, your tone of voice, how to resonate with people, what people want from you, how to chop it up and format it in a way that's digestible to certain audiences. Is there any lessons you've learned around that kind of stuff?
Yes, the number
And obviously work in progress, of course.
We're obviously work in progress, but right now, something that I've started to realize. So I've been tweeting for about a month, right about. And I've gotten to a spot where it was on average like a little bit of engagement. Like I'd be like thrilled if I got 10 likes.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like batting a good bit higher than that. And the number one adjustment that was good for me was to think about the TAM of every tweet. Like who are all of the possible people that can enjoy the information and the humor.
This is the Stanford AI brain applying to tweeting, whereas like, you know, the rest of the homies just be saying shit and like literally like I have to tweet 5 times a day no matter what type of bullshit it is, which, you know, I mean, sickening, but that strategy has worked for a lot of people. It's not the way I would approach it, but sounds to me like you're overthinking a little bit. No?
I'm definitely overthinking to some degree. I'm sure over the next few weeks I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But generally at least there's some truth to there has to be a lot of people that could at least potentially enjoy reading this.
Yeah.
So it's not too technical, not too marketing, not too pessimistic, not too optimistic. Like you're trying to tow all of these crowds.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to something where this is the right mix of things.
I think just one key insights, obviously specifically to Twitter, is just like it's a dangerous game to play because like as a founder, you want to keep everyone and as a salesperson, you know, by practice, like you want to be a people pleaser, you want to keep everyone happy, you want to massage this side and that side or whatever. But like I think the key is like you can't be afraid to piss people off. You have to stand on business and you'll earn respect that way, you know? Like. And I don't know, I've had many times where like, no, there's some people that I've just pissed off and like, we're never going to be cool.
Fair enough.
It's not ideal and it doesn't feel great, but like, I feel like that was a part of my journey. Whatever that statement I said was that pissed you off, I had to say it. It was authentic to me and it is what it is. But I've also had plenty of people that like, took the opposing side of my opinion or tweet or whatever, and we like hashed it out and then became homies because like there's like a mutual. I know where you stand. I know like I understand you better now. Like, you know.
You took the time to dig into their argument. You really, tried.
Yeah. You stand on your business. I'm gonna stand on mine. I could respect that. I don't have to agree with you, but you know, there's something we could still work together. You know?
Absolutely.
But like, do you ever think about like, I don't want to like, I feel like you would be trying not to offend people too much.
Oh, okay.
That would be my guess. I don't know.
That. I'm pretty game for it, at least as long as I do it with eyes wide open.
Word.
I'm definitely a believer of the whole like the opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy. So if you have no haters, then like that's the worst thing ever.
Hell yeah. Well, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there for sure. Put a pin in that. 100%. So you're doing the tweeting, you're doing the founder-led marketing. I guess like why do you think that's important in the first place? Because like there's a lot of other founders that would say, okay, I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna hire a CMO and then I'm gonna hire you know what I mean. But I personally would say it's important to establish the tone and voice of the brand, and also being that frontlines person, receiving that feedback, you're going to learn much quicker with a shorter feedback loop than if you handed it off to someone else, at least in the early days, you know? Also, as a founder, it should, in my opinion, feel so personal that like, I want my,
you want to own it.
I want to be tied to this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I completely agree with pretty much all of those. Yeah. Maybe the one thing I would add is early on, I heard this quote that made a lot of sense. It was people don't buy into products, they buy into people.
That too.
That's pretty much it. So for a lot of the developers that we're talking to these days, when they're talking about coming in and working with Seismic and doing all of this, I index very heavily on it's you and me. We're working on this. We're in the stage where everything's bespoke, everything's really one-on-one, and the product in here, whatever you don't like about the product, like I will personally just compensate for it, and then we can do it. Although hopefully over time, it's just the product is there. It's going. Of course. But really right now, it's I'm just trying to sell myself.
In the trenches, man. Respect. So I guess like if you had to explain it, like what is the narrative that you're trying to push here? What do you want people to know about Seismic? Like how do you want to make people feel when you're talking about Seismic? Talk me through some of that.
I like the two-part question.
Yeah.
On part number one, the narrative that we're looking to push is within the next few years, we're going to see a strong delineation between transparent and encrypted blockchains. Like right now, when people have thought about things in the past, they've thought about scaled versus not scaled. Like, this is a slow blockchain, I don't really want to be in it. This is a fast blockchain, like this is where I want to be. Over the next few years, after we start plateauing with the first problem, we're going to move on to this new problem of forced transparency, which I believe is the next big hurdle after limited scalability, at least on the infrastructure level. And you can do a lot of new things with it. There's a lot of opportunity here, especially on creating unique apps with strong differentiating factors.
So I guess from your understanding of talking to, friends of ours out there in the market, like, do you think this is something that people care enough about now? And if not, how are you going to make them care about this?
Great question. I don't believe they care about it enough to put however much we need into it to really make it succeed. And the reason I say this is because forced transparency is an issue that we've seen from very early days in the industry. Like, the first paper that came out on it was probably Zcash in 2014. So we've known that transparency on blockchains is a good thing generally, but it has a lot of consequences on it. It's harder to make blockchains a regular part of people's daily financial lives. And even more important than that, it's harder to just build apps that require some form of encryption. And we've known this for a while. And then in the last decade, what you've started to notice is when people talk about encryption, do all this, people just get really bored. They've been here. It's been a problem for a while. They're like, oh, I've been there, done that. I've heard this story retold for the last decade, but yet nothing's ever happened to it. What we want to do when we come into this is we want to give a fresh take on it, where we want to make it cool again, where we want to say we're not going to come in with the same narrative, we're not going to come in with the same pitch. This is a new pitch where instead of being more of a prerequisite, say blockchains aren't going to take over the world unless there's encryption, unless if they're still fully transparent. Instead of being more of a prerequisite to blockchains don't take over the world if this is the case, it's saying, hey, this is how blockchains can take over the world. Be more on the offensive instead of be on the defensive. And that's the massive user education problem that Seismic faces today.
Wow.
Really.
That's really interesting. It's really interesting to think about that. I'm sure that you've spent a lot of time figuring out how to overcome that hurdle and how to message that properly. I don't know, I guess from a marketing yapping perspective, part of me is just thinking out loud of maybe it's more compelling to throw the problem in people's faces and I don't know, have you thought about that? It may not, I get what you're saying, how it's a more positive spin, more optimistic spin on it to maybe have positive sentiment here rather than a more, aggressive, controversial way. But I don't know. What's your take on that?
I actually think this offensive defensive distinction is more on the do a driver instead of prerequisite, instead of positive or negative. And what I mean by driver instead of prerequisite is, in the past, encryption x blockchains has painted this future where blockchains are just about to dominate the world. All world TVL is going to be on blockchains. Right. But the last thing holding it back is that blockchains are fully transparent. This has been the narrative. And people have been dissuaded by this because they're asking the natural question. Okay, so when blockchains are on the precipice of taking over, then we need this, but no, at no point before. That's what I call defensive. What I call offensive is, hey, this is not when the time comes we're really going to need it. This is going to bring us closer to the time to the time today. That's really cool. Yeah. So that's cool. Really where I'm trying to go.
Do you have any mentors that are helping you or advisors that are helping you with coming up with marketing strategy, or this is your whole brainchild?
Oh, I made an explicit decision about this where over the first 2 months, I'm going to take very little outside advice on marketing because I want to try, even if I slow down growth early on, I want to try seeing what naturally emerges. That is my style. And then from there, I learn what's happening with other playbooks. One thing that I'm trying a lot, that's I'm trying to record a lot of videos just like this.
Hell yeah.
And just me talking face to face, explaining some topic, talking about some idea I really believe in and seeing if I can connect an audience like that. I don't know. So far, it's kind of well received. At some point, it's probably gonna be why am I seeing this guy's face again on my timeline?
That's how you know you're doing something right, bro.
Really, when someone's
I think so.
Fair, yeah.
Bro, for so long, I
Really?
would see people at events. When they would meet me, they'd be like, oh, like, I've seen your clips. And I'd be like, yo, my bad for flooding your timeline. No, they're like, no, we it's all good. We like it. And, like, it took me a minute to be like, yo, am I doing too much right now? Like, feeling a little insecure, uncomfortable with it. But it sounds like...
Did you ever take it down? I thought
Nah, keep going harder, baby. Keep going harder, man.
Okay,
Keep winning,
so a lot of these.
win until it's too much winning,
Oh, my God.
Yap until it's too much yapping,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I'm here.
No, but it's good that you're getting like outside your comfort zone and trying things out. I will say, like, as a recruiter, I think one thing that many of my peers in the industry take for granted, which I do not, is the fact that when we have high level candidates, like, we're dealing with experts in their field, people that are great at what they do.
Yep.
And I will say a big point of growth for me was when I had this marketing guy, really high level CMO dude, who I connected well. We just became friends through the process, and I hired him. He gave me a homie price, and just, he took me through a quick couple of sessions just to like teach me fundamentals of marketing. And I'll be honest with you, like, he wasn't so on top of it that like I didn't get to experiment and try things. Of course I did, but it was the prompts that he gave. He gave me like a lot of helpful prompts to like trigger me to how to think about things. And just like, yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. That experience of learning the fundamentals of marketing, and a lot of it I applied in my own ways. So, would definitely recommend just having someone that you could call for that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. I think early on teaching principles, there was one guy that really helped a ton for me. At least two people. Number one was his name is Akram, and then he's a positioning wizard.
Celestial guy?
Yeah, Celestial guy. He has done incredible things for the Seismic narrative, where he came and really spent a lot of time with us just because he was introduced by one of my good friends, Jay-Z from Story Protocol.
Hell yeah.
Where he just put a lot of time into this. It's obvious that he cared a lot, and over maybe the course of just 3 days, like he opened my eyes. So
yeah.
Number one is definitely Ikram there. Number two, there's another guy. His name is Joe. He's from Alliance, if you've heard of it.
Of course, yeah.
And this guy is like alpha meme lord, the best guy possible. And he helped me a lot with accepting that eccentricity is something that you should really lean into and feel. And Joe was the guy that really tipped it over.
Tell me more about that. I'm curious.
So this was on the first commercial that we were, not commercial-ish / trailer that we were going to put in, is for our Hello World with Seismic. And the one message that we wanted to communicate with our proposal is forced transparency bad. And the best way to communicate this turned out to be, okay, in the blockchain world right now, we're expecting for your finances to live in a world where forced transparency is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if we can have an analogy that's really easy for people to click there.
Nice.
And in an easy analogy is, what if you were living in the real world and everything was just made of glass? So instead of a wall behind you, just glass everybody can see in. And then we made a commercial from it.
Love that.
And from
Did
this,
it drop yet?
It dropped. It was like 2-3 weeks
That's
ago.
cool. I gotta look at it. Yeah.
It was like fully AI generated when my buddies helped me
Hell
with
yeah.
it. And when I was talking to Joe about this, the ideas that I was talking about were all really safe, conservative, office friendly. And then he just drops like, hey man, what if your very first scene was a bathroom where all the stalls are made of glass and 3 people are on the newspaper sitting down? And then he said this, and and immediately I was like, no, like it feels like a little much, like come on, like this is from our company account. And then he's like, are you kidding me, man? Like, and he shows me a lot of examples.
It's the game, yeah.
And it's the game, and then now I'm thinking like, oh my god, banger.
Hell yeah.
And then that was the single scene that a lot of people just go like reference after, like, are you like were you the company that released the trailer with a bathroom with glass stalls? Because it's just a really striking image, a striking visual.
Wow.
And that was really what I meant by lean into eccentricity. And then since then, like we have an undropped trailer coming out where sneak peek, there's a Cardano dinosaur coming in. I know, comets coming in, streaming hot ones and zeros that are just gonna much love to the ADA, all love. But the comet's coming in.
That's great.
So
man.
like that's really it's been a big transformation, and Joe's really helped with
That's good stuff, man. Well, I guess coming off that, I mean, that's a really cool story, and I'm excited to see like the future content and videos that you come out with. But it does make me think, like, okay, you are a Stanford guy, clean cut dude. What role does the DGen community play in the Seismic community or narrative, all that?
I think today it's significant, and tomorrow it's going to be even more significant. And because of the simple fact that like I just trade a ton. My phantom history is a bloodbath. It used to not be a bloodbath, but right now it's a bloodbath. So aside from working on all of the deep tech bits and all of this, like I slammed it on the AI narrative like hard, and I was tracking it every day. I really enjoy that a lot. So I think one piece that is going to end up working hopefully well for Seismic long term. I know a lot of chains go out and they project a lot of strength, a lot of stability, and I hope to do this well with Seismic too. But one of the pieces that I do I want to project with us is that we just really embrace what's fun about crypto. I get it. Like I get slamming like a low market cap token and then just have it. like I feel
You're not
it.
above it. You're not above it.
I'm not above it, and I'm definitely like I love it. Like it's not even like I'm like kind of in it.
Yeah, okay.
It's like I have group chats with my buddies, and I think way more people are degen than it seems. Like now,
it's not only ETH Bushwick that's doing degen shit in the trenches.
It's not only ETH Bushwick. Like
Respect to ETH Bushwick. For sure.
Like on my Twitter, I'm like pretty scientific and pretty locked down. But even on my Twitter, I talk about trades every now and then. And then in my group chats, you like with a lot of the people that you'd think of that have never even talked about anything outside of really deep tech on Twitter, like they're in it. They're slamming it more than me.
Hell yeah!
So you'd be
That's
surprised.
a good point.
It's a sleeping majority.
Yeah. No. I hear you. That's a good point. I guess I probably should have hit this earlier, but you just touched on like AI narrative. I mean, just to bring it back for a second, as someone who is exposed to AI at the highest level at Stanford, any like broad general takes about what's going on in crypto X AI these days? Stand on business. No safe shit. Don't give me the safe take.
I haven't seen a lot of like really strong, compelling value props that are that are around to last. Yeah. The most exciting one that I found was AI influencers. That was literally the only one that I like bet on really hard. So
really,
like, yeah. So it's the entire GOAT.
The AI girlfriend type shit.
The entire GOAT succession, virtuals, all of this. I slammed that hard because I thought that was the highest likelihood of being the NFTs of this cycle. Because with a lot of what we've run into over the last few months, you don't know how painful it is to interact with a traditional financial system until you've tried to integrate a D app into like a bank or something. Like with on-ramps, with wallets, with KYC, every single stage is just straight pain. And one of the beauties of DeFi summer and NFT summer is that everything is in this beautiful land of end-to-end crypto. Like you're logging on, you're on-ramping, people are doing that on Coinbase by themselves. But once you're there, you're in Ethereum, you're in Solana already, and you can just sit there forever and everything's composable. It's the promise. But everything outside of that, if you're trying to build an end-to-end app, it's horrendous. And so with the thing that I found beautiful about AI influencers is because they're only in this world. Like if you're looking at GOAT, like you're not saying on ramp, and buy, and then off ramp in one click. Right. And you're KYCing in the middle. You're literally like, you just send SOL.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. That's really important for at least short term.
Interesting. Cool. I guess like last question on like AI stuff. What do you think the general public who's, I guess, like one step deeper than the general public, maybe the people that are taking some light AI bets or whatever, like, what do you think the most misunderstood thing about AI and crypto is?
I think the biggest one that I've seen is AI applied to solving bottlenecks that aren't the strongest bottlenecks. Like for example, and like I'm not picking on any particular app, but like for example, if you were talking like an LLM interface for a chain, like you probably need that a little bit less than you probably need a marginally better like UX trading experience, a little less than just having cooler assets. And I think in general, it's not just AI people that are making this mistake. It's generally infrastructure people, where at the end of the day, like say you're in Seismic's shoes, you're a chain. A lot of chains early on are talking about these these innovative ideas where we're internalizing the DEX because the DEX is so important. Like we're gonna have Aave from us in day one. Like our DeFi experience is gonna be as sophisticated as anyone's ever seen before. At the end of the day, that is not the bottleneck for people coming onto your chain. Like your chain is when stripped down is an asset ledger, and if the asset sucks, it doesn't matter how quick this button goes after you confirm, and then the money's in your bank account.
Facts.
It's the actual assets that you go for, and we're seeing this.
Cool.
We're seeing this everywhere. Like you're optimizing bottlenecks where there's a 10x bottleneck that's just sitting a couple feet away.
Good. Super insightful. Yep. So let's bring it back to where we're at today. So you just recently raised your Series A, or was that a seed round?
It was a seed round.
Yeah. Tell me about the raising process.
It was very good. I was fortunate to have known a lot of the partners at these firms for a while, where we just got connected maybe 2-3 years ago while I started doing some early work in like more academic cryptography and all of this. And that when I needed to start raising, it was a quicker process of text, eval, do it pretty plainly. I think as long as you go through the raising process with like a lot of brutal honesty and a lot of integrity, especially at the seed round, things move pretty quickly because a lot of it is like founder de-risking and then making sure they're not making any crazy claims in the future. Like you raise when you have nothing. That's fine as long as you're very straight about it.
Okay, this is I got an interesting question for you. So it was A16Z that led it, yeah?
Yeah, A16Z, heavy participation from Polychain too.
Amazing.
So both funds have been absolutely critical for getting Seismic to where we're at today.
Beautiful. Shout out to Polychain. Shout out to A16Z.
Yeah.
And of course Gil and the homies from Stanford that connected us a long time ago.
Yeah.
So my question is this, right? So let's say, I don't know if it was A16Z, but let's just use them as an example. Let's say you had a relationship with them from post Stanford days when you were still on the academic side researching and learning, and they got to know you intimately as a person, at least, and now it comes time to ask for the money, right? Being that they already know you, what do you think they were really double clicking on or zooming in on to like evaluate whether they're going to write the check or not? Because, we know that a lot of these like seed stage investments are, pretty purely based on like a founder with an idea, period. But like, what do you think they were asking you questions specifically about?
I'd say in my particular case, it was how much I cared about demand-driven technology. For me, the biggest risk in their head was probably that I would want to like sit in a cave and code for 4 years and then come out with something, which is definitely still the most appealing option to me. But I made it very clear that that is not the way I operate. And then now I'm having a lot more fun going with demand-driven tech. So that was definitely number one that they were trying to de-risk. Number two, I would say that is still, even though that was the number one component that they wanted to de-risk during the actual process, I think 90% of the process was already done before I even asked for the money. A lot of it, especially in the seed stage where we were at when we raised, is pitching started happening the first call that I took many months before.
Cool, man. Well, I saw the big announcement, and apparently I wasn't the only one who saw it because you had your first hater. Congratulations on that, man.
It was a great moment.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. Why don't you give us like a TLDR of the thread? And it was fucked up that they took your picture and threw it up on there. It was funny, but
it was hilarious.
Yeah. So what was the FUD? Why were they fudding, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, incredible question. This was a great day. I think it was last Saturday. I wake up. I usually spend at least the first half of my day not on Twitter at all. Like it's usually deep work, like working out, making food, and then really unplugging after a hard week. And then I log on to Twitter, and then it just notice like crazy. And then more than a Twitter notice, I saw a lot of people reach out and say, "Hey, I'm so sorry this is happening to you." And I'm like, who died? And then I get on my Twitter and I like click the link, and it's the best thread ever. It's amazing. Like the top thumbnail image is literally just my face. and then
it's good branding.
It's good, I guess so. Like I was like, distribute. This thing is already like ripping to 1,000 likes, and it's saying what essentially boils down to, we have no product. We are again getting killed by this Forbes-looking MF. She
The hate was funny.
She
like,
said that. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, that's
I was
good.
like,
That's the biggest hate you could come up with. That I look like I should be on Forbes. Shit, I'll take that.
This is why I wasn't bummed through all of it. Like I was confused when people are like, "I'm so sorry, you don't deserve this." I was like, "Damn, like let me deserve it a little bit."
Lean into that shit.
Yeah, let me deserve it a little bit. And then a lot of the reasoning was just funny. Like not to shit on this person. I think like it was well founded because there's a lot of noise in crypto, so it's hard. I would say this person was probably a little bit trigger happy when doing it.
Yeah.
Because the evidence
bro, I've been there before. When you get in the incentivization of doing these like spicy takes and shit, you're like, fuck it. And you don't even think.
Yeah,
And then
you're
like,
just like, go for it.
We've all like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to read it the second time after you cross like 800 likes. It's probably the one.
So what was the thing that you think if she slowed down a little bit, she would have maybe rethought?
I think the literal big one was that we had no product. When our code is open source, it's like easy. You can run it in under 5 minutes. And then we have a bunch of prototype apps that are working on it. And we also have an internal but live developer testnet. So like I wasn't worried about things, but I was especially not worried when I saw the reasoning on how to get to the conclusion of it, where the reasoning was we had a job posting that said, we're looking for a founding engineer. And founding engineer is like first 10 if someone's really showing out. Right. Even your 10th hire can become a founding engineer if they're really monstrous.
Right. Facts.
And so the reasoning was, since we're looking for a founding engineer, we have no engineers. And so since that was the main one, I was not worried at all. The comments were like saying, hey, this is kind of ridiculous. They probably have engineers in their code is open source. And it was like going after me for being non-technical, which is, to be fair, I've written very little of Seismic. All of that is to Seismic's engineering team. Yeah. But generally before this, like I coded a good bit, so I'm probably not non-technical.
The one point in the thread that I did agree with as a general statement, not as it applied to you, is that I will say I have seen a lot of cases of non-technical founders hiring engineers and having no idea how to like evaluate the work that they're doing, and that is messy. But it is funny to like say that to a Stanford like you know what I mean, like a Stanford AI grad. Like that's funny.
Yeah. Is that
technical enough to like know how to
technical enough to like to get
understand the product.
And then it was to their credit, this like track of like you raise money for no project, non-technical founder, I think is so common that like it's easy for them to see. So like in most cases they probably wouldn't have been wrong. In this case they're just very wrong. Right. And then the Twitter immune system was I'm thankful that Twitter immune system was enough that it, like called them on it. They ended up taking the tweet down. And then they reached out after and they said, hey, looks can be deceiving. My bad. And so I was like, oh, hey, they reached out. They DM'd. Wow. And then I was like, no hard feelings. Because at the end of the day, like this
that was the whole exchange. That was the whole exchange.
That was the whole exchange. I said some things, so like your concerns are valid in most cases. I hope like I called a lot of them. Happy to chat anytime. Like they were good and receptive. At least they're not receptive on Twitter, but in DMs like they were great. And at the end of the day, like I'm feeling great about this because like we didn't get killed for any legit things. Like we would get like there are many reasons to bash on Seismic. Like we're talking a lot and we have no mainnet, but I mean we just came out of stealth, so like obviously you don't. And then none of the reasons were really like that deep, so I was fine with it. I was a Forbes looking MF, so I was also fine with that. And
now you got to really own it, like make that your Twitter tagline. Like, you know what I mean? You got to really lean into it. That's funny.
And then like the results at the end of the day were amazing. We got 5 job applications from just that Saturday. It was huge.
It'd be funny if it was like people that worked at that person's own company. Like
that would have been crazy. That would have been crazy. But now it's like 5 job applications. We're interviewing 2 of them for serious engineering roles. If one of them falls out, I might reach out to this person and ask, please tweet again. Like,
that'd be amazing. Yeah, where can I send the referral fee? Like,
yeah, 10 to 20% first year.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
dude.
So that was a great moment, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Really cool. And well, I'll tell you like one quick story of my own, which was like, so early on in my crypto career, there was a guy. Shout out to Jack, man, my boy Jack. He runs a company called Higher Chain. I saw a deck floating around for it like a long time ago, and it's basically like I love you, Jack. I don't really know what the fuck Higher Chain is, if I'm being honest with you. It's some sort of like bounty referral program where like you refer your friends and you get bounties for making apps, whatever.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just generally so bearish on like any recruitment software, like AI recruitment, all that shit, like it just doesn't fucking work. Like relationship game, period, end of story. That's it. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, man.
I saw his deck going around, and I posted on LinkedIn some bullshit. Like if anyone sees a deck relating to like hiring bounties, like throw that shit in the trash, whatever. Like I shit on it. I didn't name him by name.
Yeah.
I didn't name the project by name.
Was he your buddy? Like you knew him off train?
So okay, I didn't. So hold on. So we were connected on LinkedIn, which I forgot about because we had met at a conference, which I forgot about. And he was like mad nice to me, which I forgot about. And the other thing I forgot about is that you put your email in when you view the deck. So he's like, so I put the post on LinkedIn, and he was like, "Hey mate," he's like a British dude. He's like, "Hey mate, didn't like the deck I see," and I was like, and I just like I felt so bad, like, cause he just nice guyed me to death, and it was like, fuck. And and you know, it's funny how we now are like great friends. He came to my cigar night in Denver. We share clients and shit like that, and it's cool. And the reality is, the hire chain is like more than that. It has, you know, that's one part of the business. There's a real recruitment business built in there too. And so I was trigger happy, like this person on you hated and felt like a fucking idiot and recanted my statement. And
that's
you know,
nice. That's nice. Yeah.
But like you, he said, "Yo, leave that shit up. Like people are talking, it's all love." And I guess like what I was gonna say earlier when I was talking about stand on business and like have your opinion and don't care who you offend. What I've learned through the experience is like I got to make sure I'm not punching down, like because that you look like a bully, you know. And I learned this concept through my marketing guy of there's positioning and then there's depositioning. Right?
Okay.
So like positioning is like obviously how you position yourself in the market, and then depositioning is like I'm not like this, I'm not like that, I'm not like this guy, I'm not like that person. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And to separate yourself from competition, which is important.
Yeah.
It is important to distinguish yourself. But if you overdo the depositioning, then you look like a dick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
everyone else is doing it wrong. We
gotta learn where that line is for you. And it was a valuable learning lesson for me, and I'm glad that we can be friends still. You know,
this is good to hear. I think over the next few months, I'll tune that.
Hell yeah!
I'll try to figure it out. We'll see when I'll let you know. I'll ping you on my first apology.
The apology arc. The apology arc is coming, man. I guess what are for the rest of this year, man? What are you like most excited about regarding Seismic? Like, what are some big milestones you're trying to hit? What should the people be paying attention to?
Oh. The biggest milestone, the only one that matters to us is let's get to Mainnet, because all of the hypotheses that we're talking about and all of the early indicators that we're seeing don't mean anything until it's in Mainnet. There's money flowing. There are users on the other side that are saying yes or no. The number one positive of building an infra project and the number one negative is that you have so much leeway in talking. Because things aren't live, like you can be kind of wrong. Nobody would ever know. You get a lot of preferential treatment in the market, even if you've done nothing to deserve it. All of that is very good while you're like pre-launch in this great phase, but things don't. But it ends up backfiring once you're really deploying and you're really talking about real users. So getting to Mainnet is our big one. We need to get to our success case. The way that we define success is there's one app that is built on some of the properties that Seismic uniquely provides relative to the entire blockchain ecosystem. This one app that is at 10 million ARR. That is our only goal at Seismic, at least in the near term.
Hit Mainnet and find your killer app. That's your
Mainnet killer app. There's a lot of pie in the guy stuff that I get asked often, where it's what's the long-term vision? How is Seismic going to take over the world? We're just thinking about this $10 million ARR app. We talk. That's almost our chance internally.
Love that. Yeah. Love that. And I guess like before we wrap up here, I'd be remiss to ask. I mean, I'm curious when it comes to hiring. Walk me through your rationale having the IRL in-person in New York culture. Talk me through your mindset around that, and give me some challenges that you faced there, and kind of like what you've learned along the way, specifically regarding hiring for an in-person situation.
Yeah, this is a very good question. So early on, Seismic was not fully in person. I found that this was incredibly damaging, and we fixed it. It took. There were a couple months where we really restructured things to mostly be a fully in-person team, hire some people, let some people go, and then it was a painful process to go towards getting to it. But now it was so worth it. And the main piece is because we're only a year into this, but even now it's very clear that when people are putting up the amount of hours that are required to make a small startup that's backed by a small elite team work, put in the hours to do that, you are showing up every day, not because of the mission, but you're showing up for your teammates. And showing up to your teammates on Zoom is 100x weaker than showing up to your teammates in real life. And that was the number one big difference. And then after we got everybody IRL, and then we're working cohesively as a team, communication started getting better. Its commitment level was starting to get better. It was a lot more fun, not because Seismic was succeeding and crypto was doing really well, but because we were doing really well as a team.
Wow, that's really interesting. I've never heard it articulated like that, and it's definitely, you're pretty good at these like analogy things of like, you know, and I get it. You know, reminds me of like when I was pledging a fraternity. Is like if one of you don't participate in whatever bullshit hazing, it's like everyone else gets it harder. And I never really thought about building a team in that way, but it does make sense. I guess my follow-up question would be, how do you value like the trade-off between, you know, the slower build of the team, obviously, and the, you know, just like having to play within the parameters of that market? Yeah, how does that stack up against, you know, the pro, which you just mentioned?
Yeah. We're definitely eating it on the chin right now. Like our hiring process is much, much more of a grind to get people in person. The thing that's shifted since when I started Seismic is I now put a lot more weight on the pro of in-person team than the negative of
whatever like deficiency is in the
yeah, pretty much. Just because I saw how hard the problem is to undo a slow moving, not aligned team, and all of that is 10x. Is still 10x the amount of recruiting work that has changed. Yeah, it's still there. Although I hope a lot more of crypto starts doing this, because then I think it would help a lot. Like a lot of the best teams in the space that I know are also doing this.
I mean, some have done it really well. Some have done it really well, and some have built really high performing teams remote too. Yep. Not to say that it's the best option for everyone, but it has been done well before, 100%. But I get your point. You know, when I'm running a search for someone who's hiring only IRL, like usually now when I onboard them, like I like to say this line just to like kind of throw a little jab, just to be like, do you want me to find the best people, or do you want me to find the best people in New York? And just to let them know that that is two very different groups.
You told me this when we first started.
Those are two different. Not to say and that's not saying you can't find the best people and get them in New York, but kind of just to like put you in my mindset right there. You know what I'm saying?
God, absolutely.
My last question around this would be like, how do you think about scaling in this way? You know, because I've seen this become an issue before, where it's like, okay, we've done a great job of building the first, call it 15, 20 hires IRL, you know, crushed it, got to Mainnet, hit all these like achievements, milestones, whatever. And now it's time to really like scale up. And then it becomes like, okay, well, you know, we could hire this role remote. It would be fine, but then it would fuck up the culture over here. This person would be salty. This person had to move here from wherever, you know what I'm saying? So like, how do you think about like the future? As I know you said you don't, I know you don't.
It's all good. It's all good. In the future, we're almost certainly going to start distributing. It just must happen.
Has to happen.
Pretty much exactly for the reason you said. And I've accepted that. I am encouraged by the fact that this future is pretty far out, mainly because the way that we are building our blockchain, a goal that we've set early on is we're gonna ship Mainnet with 10 engineers. Like Ethereum was 9 engineers, Solana was 12 when they shipped Mainnet. Wow. And there's no world where we, given the level of innovation that those two had, like, don't get me wrong, we do a lot of great things, but we're not shipping Ethereum for the first time ever. No world. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And because of that, if we can't get it out in 10 people, then we've done something wrong already. We're gonna be 10 engineers for a while. And then maybe a lot of not.
Yeah, you can make that happen. I guess for real, my last question on this is like,
please.
Is there any difference in your mind as far as like when it comes to IRL hiring, technical versus non-technical? Like if I'm talking to you about, let's say you want a BD person, I would say, bro, BD people, they could be floating around. You want them outside, you know, like running around doing shit in different places, like. But would you still be, I know you're not hiring BD marketing yet, would you still be as, you know, dead set on having them come in person?
Probably much less, but not that much. Mainly because a lot of the best ideas that I've had with my teammates on the marketing and BD front have been in person talks. So BD and marketing we see very, very critical to Seismic, and because of that, they still have to be the same. Yeah.
All right, man. You heard it. No exceptions, bro. Until later, man. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
Haters keep hating, man. We love it. We love you still. Stay up, man. We out. Peace.